Hello, everyone. Good morning from Vienna, but good afternoon or good evening. Hope it's not too late where you're tuning in from. Hope everyone's doing grand today. Welcome to week 5 of the free JavaScript Bootcamp that we're doing in collaboration with Class Central and using the materials from FreeCodeCamp. A couple links before we get started. If you're looking at this and you think, hey, I want to do this, where can I sign up? You can do so at classcentral.com. The materials we'll be using are from freecodecamp.org. If you have any questions about the material, you can ask them at group.classcentral.com. If you want to join the conversation on Discord, you can do so on there as well. You'll find the link on the classcentral.com dashboard. We have a code of conduct that we expect all students to follow. If you have anything to report about that, please do so at bootcamp@classcentral.com. That's the email address. And let's see where folks are tuning in from today. Here we go. We got folks tuning in from Hungary. Hello. From New Zealand. From Spain. Buenos dias. Good morning. From Zambia. From the US. Oh no, I hope it's not too late there or too early. Oh my goodness. Nigeria, Pakistan, Scotland, India, Nigeria. Wonderful. From India. Wow. Folks tuning in from all over the place. It's always such a joy. Ooh, from South Africa. Lovely. Love to see folks tuning in from all over the place. From Ethiopia, from Ghana. What a joy. It's such an honor to have you all here. And yeah. It's just wonderful. I really appreciate seeing all of you here, seeing somebody from France. Wonderful. Let me go ahead and share my screen and we can kick this off. So here we go. So what we're going to be doing today is, well, last week, the last part we did was doing the Caesar Cipher project. Remember, if you want to get that freecodecamp.org certification, you will need to complete all 5 of these, which we will be doing. I think the last session we'll be doing next week. We'll complete the cash register, and with that, the boot camp. But today, let me scroll up a little bit. We'll be doing basic algorithm scripting, and today we're going to be stepping into what algorithms are, how we solve problems with programming using algorithms, and essentially, I like to think of algorithms as instructions in a way. Actually, that's what FreeCodeCamp says right here. An algorithm is a series of step-by-step instructions that describe how to do something. Because, of course, a computer needs to be told what it needs to do step by step. It needs to be programmed in order to solve a task. And that's what we're doing in programming. We're writing these algorithms in a certain language. And let's look at what FreeCodeCamp is saying. To write an effective algorithm, it helps to break the problem down into smaller parts and think carefully about how to solve each part with code, which, if you think about it, is how we've been doing these projects so far. So for this part here, we're actually going to be solving some, let's call them mini projects or mini puzzles, as Galbrush put it in Discord. And again, as always, I'm going to solve them my way, have a conversation with y'all, and see how we can improve these if needed. And as always, Q&A will be held at the end. So if I don't highlight your question, don't worry, we are bookmarking them. And let me see. Yeah. So we'll hold a Q&A at the end. So if we don't answer your question right away, don't worry, it's being saved up for later. Cool. So let's step right in. In our first one, we're going to be converting Celsius to Fahrenheit, which, if you've been following along, we've already been doing. So don't worry. We'll just be solving that step by step together. So what have we got? We've got a function here that converts C to F, takes a parameter of Celsius. We have a variable let Fahrenheit, and we return that Fahrenheit. If I were to console log this call of it now, I expect, because Fahrenheit has been declared but not assigned, that it'll give me undefined. But let's read the instructions real quick. You're given a variable Celsius representing a temperature in Celsius. Use the variable Fahrenheit already defined in it and assign it the Fahrenheit temperature equivalent to the given Celsius temperature. Use the formula mentioned above to help convert the Celsius temperature to Fahrenheit. And so the formula to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit is the temperature in Celsius times 9 divided by 5 plus 32. So we're just going to do that right away. So we're going to let Fahrenheit equals is the temperature in Celsius. So I'll just take that Celsius there times 9 divided by 5 multiplied by 9 divided by 5. I'm going to use brackets just because it looks nicer. Plus 32. Plus 32. And I can't spell. So it's Celsius with an S instead of a C. There we go. So 30 degrees Celsius is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, we did this before when learning about classes, so it's not something we haven't seen before. But yeah, taking those instructions, turning them into code. And you'll notice that this is a lot of what we're going to be doing during today's session. So let's run our tests. And there we go. Give ourselves a little pat on the back. Well done, everybody. We'll move on to the next exercise. So if you see this pop-up show up, FreeCodeCamp is, of course, free, open source, and a nonprofit. So they, live on donations. And well, if you can afford it, feel free to donate $5 a month. I do so, but on a different account, just because I can't use the same account because otherwise all of my progress will already be shown, and we want to solve this live. So anyway, we'll click on Ask Me Later and carry on. Our next one is to reverse the provided string. You may need to turn the string into an array before you reverse it. Your result must be a string. Now, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but this seems familiar. So we got a function reverse string. It takes a string and returns a string. We call reverse string hello. We're going to do this in two ways. First, I'm going to console log reverse string hello, which if it's returning the same string should just gives me hello. Now, one way I can think of doing this is with a loop. So we'll go let result equals empty string for loop let I equals 0. Hold on a second. Oh, we'll start from the end of the string. So I equals string length minus 1. I must be bigger than or equals to 0, and I will go down with every iteration. And we'll do result plus equals the string item at the position I, and we will return said result. So that'll already give us ole. If I run the tests, it should pass. But before I pat, remember when we did the project of palindromes, y'all introduced me to a different way to do this. So let's do that instead. String dot, now let me think. It was split. Not split, was it? Oh, I need to return. My bad. So now it's turned into an array, which is good. And an array lets us reverse it. Then we can join that string with no spaces, and that also gives us ole. Now that's nicer, isn't it? We split it, we turn it into array, we reverse that array, and then we turn that array back into a string. Let's run our tests. It looks good. Now we'll do the pat and move on to the next one. Factorialize a number. Okay. So a factorial is that number times itself minus 1, times itself minus 1, times itself minus 1, all the way down to 1. Or represented the other way around, 1 times 2 times 3 times 4, all the way up to the number itself. So 5 factorial, that's denoted by this bang here, this exclamation mark, is 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5, which is 120. Now, quick note, that does not, you can't do console log 5 factorial. JavaScript does not understand that. See, unexpected token, expected comma. So we need to write a function to factorialize it. And I think perhaps we'll do this in two ways again. First, we'll do a loop. Everybody loves loops. Let result equals 0. No, we'll start with 1. You'll see why. So we'll do a for loop. Let I. So we'll loop from 1 to the number and just keep multiplying the result. So we'll let I equals 2. I must be smaller than or equals to num, I plus plus. We'll do result times equals I. And we'll return result. I forgot to do a console log. There we go. So if we factorialize 5, we start at 1, we do a for loop, let I equals 2, I smaller than num, I plus plus, result is times equals I, return result. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, but how does this work? I want to take a second and take a look at this code visualizer that Sil so kindly showed us. It's really, really good. Let's bring up JavaScript, plop in our code, visualize execution. Check this out. So it's running our code. Now you see it's going to step through each part of the code. We're seeing, okay, we're calling console log factorialize 5. Result is equals to 1. And we can see those variables here. Yeah, starting at 1. We can also see result as we go. I is now 2. I is now 4. I is now 3. I is now 4. I is now 5. And then we return that result. It's really helpful. And as Helen really correctly says, we could use recursion for this task. And I'm glad you brought that up, Helen, because we're going to do that. So I actually want to do this the way around. I'm going to start at 5 and go all the way down to 1. So if first we need our, well, actually, before we start with the termination clause, let's do the thing itself. So we'll return num times factorialize num minus 1. All right. So if we start with 5, it'll go 5 times whatever the function for num minus 1 is, which is 4. Then we'll do 4 times factorialize 3, 3 times factorialize 2, 2 times factorialize 1. Now 1 times factorialize 0, and there we cause a problem because first of all, 0 times anything is 0. And we want to go all the way to 1. So what we need to have, and as you can see in an error here, maximum call stack size exceeded, we need a termination clause. If num is equals to 1, and we just return 1. There we go, 120. And let's do the same thing. Let's grab our code, put it here in the Python tutor. Where is my edit this code? Here we go. Visualize our execution. So we started calling factorialize 5. So we call factorialize with num is 5. Then we return 5 times factorialize 4. Factorialize 4 times factorialize 3. Factorialize 2. Factorialize 1. So factorialize, if num is 1, that'll return 1. So let me see. 1 times 2 returns 2. 2 times 3 returns 6. 6 times 4 gives us 24. And 24 times 5 gives us 120. Brett's asking, why did we initialize at I equals 2? Can I yes, can I undo? Yes. Why do we initialize it 2? We have result is equals to 1, which means this part's already done, Brett, right? So we can start here at this part. A while loop would do the trick here too. I don't know. While oh, you need the link to the Python tutor. Give me 1 sec. There you go. Is the factorial of 0, 1? Really? Okay. I'll have to agree with y'all. Let me just return to my is equals to 1, return 1, return times factorialize minus 1. People are saying 0 factorial is 1. Okay. Wait, does that mean our code's going to fail? Let's try running it. Yeah, okay. Okay, see, that's what happens when you don't read the tests. Greater than or equal to 0 will be supplied. So in that case, it should work just fine. Hold on, let's take a step back, because CPU Cortex is saying, hey, make it num1 or num0. But I mean, remember, if we call factorialize 1, we're returning 1 times factorialize 0, and factorialize 0 returns 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. So that should be fine, as is. You know, triple M, I don't agree with you, because you're saying, hey, if num is equals or less than or equals to 1, that means we can go into negative numbers. And I don't know if we want to be touching. See, only integers greater than or equal to 0 will be supplied. So I think makes more sense to be concrete and be like, no. We reach 0, we're done. All right, let's but that's a good point. Let's run our tests. There we go. Do the pat and keep going. Find the longest word in a string. Return the length of the longest word in the provided sentence. Your response should be a number. No. MMM, you said my bad. I disagree. You're asking questions, which is good. This is why we do this live. This is why we have conversations with people to sort of test out those ideas. So please keep throwing them out. All right. So we've got a string here. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. And we want to go through all of these words and find the length of the longest one. Let's see what it does right now. It says 44, which is the length of the string itself. So the first thing, I'm going to use some comments now, because things are getting a little bit more complex now. Split the string up into an array of words. Loop through words. Wait. Initialize longest length at 0. Loop through the words. Then inside the loop, if the current word's length is longer, hold on, I'm going to give us some space, longer than longest length, set longest length to current word's length. Make sense? And we'll return longest length. First thing we want to do, split a string up into an array of words. And we've done this before. Just gonna split. Oh, would you look at that? It's actually showing us how to do it with the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And there we go. Words equals string split. And we split it on spaces. So this array will be an array of strings that are separated by space. So for every space, it'll be like, that's a new string. 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 And that's a new string. So that's cool. So we'll do that first. So let's say const words equals string.split along the spaces. You know what I want to do? I want to console log those words. That. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Then you want to initialize that longest length at 0. So we want to have a let, because we're going to change that. Longest equals 0. Then we're going to loop through the words. Cool. Oh, let's do that. Let's do that thing. Let's do let word of words. Remember last week we checked out the for of loop? So let's try that out. Console log word. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So now instead of having to do anything with I, we use a for of loop. So for let word of words. But remember, this can be called whatever we like. We called it word because it makes sense. So if the current word's length is longer than the longest length, if word.length is bigger than longest, set the longest length to the current word's length. Longest equals word.length. The longest length to the current word's length. Then we return the longest length. Return longest. Cool. That's giving us 6. Let's see. This is 3, 5, 5, 3. There's our 6 over the lazy dog. In fact, let me put a console log in there just to make sure that everything's working right. The longest word is now, and then I'm going to do word. Now look at this. First, it was the longest word is now the. Then the longest word is now quick. Makes sense. This is still 5, so it's not the longest. This is 3, not the longest. The longest word is now jumped. There. Then this isn't, and this isn't, and this isn't, and this isn't. Cool. Your response should be a number, which is 6. All right, let's run our tests. And there we go. Pat. Let's keep going. Return the largest numbers in arrays. Return an array consisting of the largest number from each provided subarray. For simplicity, the provided array will contain exactly 4 subarrays. Remember, you can iterate through an array with a simple for loop and access each member with an array syntax R with I. So what do we got? We got an array as an input with 4 subarrays. This one, this one, this one, and this one. And so our objective is to loop through each array, find the biggest one in each array, and take that and put it into a new array. So initialize empty array, result array, loop through each subarray, and wait. Loop through each subarray. That doesn't make sense. I'm saying that wrong. Loop through subarrays. And inside those, why am I wording this all wrong? I'm sorry, folks. Loop through the subarrays. But I want to have a nested loop because first I want to iterate over. Okay, iterate through loop through array. And then inside that, we'll loop through current subarray. There we go. Initialize biggest number. Initialize biggest number at 0. Loop through current subarray. If current number is larger than biggest number, make that a little bit wider. Set. So if the current number is bigger than the biggest, set biggest to current number. Once I'm done looping through this current subarray, push biggest number to result array. And then we return result array. Cool. Yeah, I think I can do this. So we initialize the empty result array. So far, so good. We start looping through each member of the array. We initialize the biggest number at 0. We loop through the current subarray. Michael, what if an array contains all negative? Initializing at 0 would not work. You're right. And in fact, wait, do we have negative numbers in the tests? Yes, Michael, look. You called it. So we can't initialize at 0. Thank you. So how do we do that? Hold up. Go. JavaScript lowest possible number. Yeah. How to form the small from a given number? No, that's not quite what I want. Here we go. So check it out. In JavaScript, the lowest possible number is negative 2 to the power of 53 minus 1, which gives us this big old, well, no, small old number. So if I call up number.minSafeInteger, so we'll just replace that. There we go. Okay, let's go through each step. Let result, no, it's not a let, it's a const result equals empty array. Then we loop through the array. Let's do a for of loop again. Let sub r in r. Whenever I start saying r, I start feeling like a pirate. Initialize the biggest number at the minimum safe integer. Right. Biggest equals that. Now remember, that's a very, very, very negative number. Then we're going to loop through the current subarray. Let's do that. For let num in sub r. Not in sorry, not in. I always make that mistake. There we go. If the current number is larger than the biggest number, set biggest to the current number. So if num is bigger than biggest, set biggest to the biggest number. Biggest equals num. Then we push biggest number to the result array. This should be here, by the way. Result.push biggest. Then we return the result array. Cool. Let's console log that. See what we get. . That doesn't look right. That's because I'm doing it at the wrong place. My bad. I'm doing it in this inner loop, and I should be doing it here in the outer loop. There we go. So, let's see what we got. 4, 5, 1, 3. The biggest is 5. There it is. 13, 27, 18, 26 gives us 27. 32, 35, 37, 39 gives us 39. And this array here gives us 1000. Before I look at y'all's suggestions, I'm just going to run the tests and see if they work, which they do. That's a pat. Let's see what you all think. Still saying, would an ES6 math.max work for inner arrays? Let's find out. What is math.max? The math.max function returns the largest of the numbers given as input parameters. Aha. Okay. Cool. That should work. So instead of doing my inner loop and looking for the biggest, we can just eliminate all that. Actually, all of it. Push the biggest number to the result array. That would be math.max, then ... sub r. Well, that makes things considerably more compact. Nice one, Sil. Let's run our tests. And that's still working. That's a pat. Wengang is saying you could try sorting each subarray and having the largest as the first index, and then pushing that. Let's look up sort. So you can take an array and sort it. Let's see what that gives us. Hold on a second. Look at this. Sort, if we sort this array 1.sort, look at the order it ends up in. It ends up with 1, then 100,000, then 21, then 30. And I think that's because it's treating them as strings. We'll actually get into sorting numbers later on in the bootcamp. But for now, I'm going to leave the solution aside. It's a good solution once we figure out how to sort numbers in JavaScript. Cool. Yeah, that's done. Pat. Let's move on to the next one. One gang is saying I meant more like bubble sort. Do tell, what is bubble sort? Maybe send us a link. Cool. Let's confirm our ending. So what we want to do here is check if a string, the first argument, ends with the given target string, second argument target. Folks who are saying reduce, do tell how. This challenge can be solved with ends with method, which was introduced in ES 2015. But for the purpose of this challenge, we would like you to use one of the JavaScript substring methods instead. So, so we want to check if Bastion ends with n. How do we do that? Get the last character from the string, return whether it's the same as target. Seems doable. Get the last character. Const last equals string at string.length log last. End. That looks good. So we want to check whether it's the same as the target. So we want to return whether last is equals to target. Let's log that. That's true because Bastion ends with N. Does Bastion end with O? False. But wait. So this can have more than one. See, this is why reading comprehension is important, because as CPU Cortex says, it can be more characters, or Triple M says, what if the target is more than the last character? So that's not going to work. So what do we do instead? I always forget if I want to use splice or slice. So let's get take the last part of the string based on the length of the target. Say const ending equals string dot, and maybe it's slice. And we'll do, I'll just remove this line for now. There. What? So we want to take the slice that's from there to the end. So that would be string.length minus target.length. I have no idea. Let's find out. Console log ending. Hold on. Tian. Hey, the slice worked. Okay. See, console log ending. So if I put Ian, that'll give us. If I put in Ion, ending is still Ian. That's cool. Slice helped. So string.length minus target.length. So that'll take the entire slice from that point of the string onwards. Cool. So there's our ending. So we want to check whether the ending is the same as the target. Yon is false. Yen is true. Yen, true. Stian, true. Astian is true. Lowercase b, false. Why? Because uppercase b is different from lowercase b. Nevertheless, our test should pass, right? Hey, love it. Pat, thanks for your help, everybody. Repeat a string, repeat a string. Repeat a string, there we go. First argument for num times second argument. Return an empty string if string is not a positive number. For the purposes of this challenge, do not use the built-in repeat method. Out of curiosity, I do want to see what the repeat method does. Console.log abc.repeat 2. Okay, cool. Okay, so the parameter is 9. Okay, so we can't use that. So instead, how about, hear me out. Initialize empty string, loop from 1 to num, add string to result, return result string. Looks good so far. Let result equals empty string. Loop from 1 to num. For loop, let I equals 1. I must be smaller than or equals to num. I plus plus. Add string to result. Result plus equals string. And result string. Console log. Okay. What if I do 0? Empty string. -1. Empty string. 99. ABCs. Cool. Let's run our tests. Yeah. Pat. Nice. Let's keep going. Truncating a string. Truncate a string, the first argument, if it is longer than the given maximum string length, second argument. Return the truncated string with a ... ending. So we got a tisket, a tasket, a green and yellow basket. Oh, sorry, a tisket, a tasket, a green and yellow basket. See, that's what rhyming is helpful for. So we want to truncate it if it's longer than 8. Truncated meaning chopping it off and returning it with a ... ending. So look at that keyword there, if. So if the string is longer than num, truncate and return with ... We got an else, return string. Actually, it's right there. Okay, let's get started. So if string.length, it's longer, so bigger than num, we truncate it, but I don't want to truncate yet. I want to do the else first. Else, return that string as is. Oh, let's console log. So it's currently giving us undefined because if the string length is bigger than num, which it is, it's not returning anything. If I were to say 99, it should return it just fine. So let's take care of that part first. How do we truncate a string? And we've already done that with slice. Return string.slice. Now we want to slice it from the end minus num. Yeah, so length minus num. String length minus num. Is that right? That doesn't look right. No, we want to string, we want to, that's the other way around. We want to slice it from the beginning plus num. No, that doesn't look right either. Oh, we want to slice it from 0 to num. There we go. So from the beginning until there. There we go. Simplicity, I see you there being like substring. Tell us. Do tell. What is substring? Let's see. String slice 0 to num. Yeah, okay. Is that right though? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's 8 plus, and then we do the ... Looks right. Hey, Pat. So I want to try this substring thing. It's apparently it's like slice. Let's give it a try. Substir. There we go. Oh, this feature is no longer recommended. Though some browsers still might support it, it may have already been removed from the relevant web standards. So I would not, in fact, recommend using substir. I did not know that. Thanks for asking, Simplicity. It's good to know. Deprecated means that some browsers are just not going to support substir anymore. Features do sometimes get removed from programming languages, and this is called deprecation. Okay. Create a function that looks through an array R and returns the first element that passes a truth test. This means that given an element X, the truth test is passed if function X is true. If no element passes the test, return undefined. Now this looks a little bit weird. What do we got? We got an element we have a function called find element with 2 parameters, R and func. Let's see what those are. One is an array and the other one is a function. So what we're doing here is passing this function as a parameter. Let's console log them real quick, just so we can see what they are. Console log R. Now let's console log func. See, it's a function. Now, let's see what this function is real quick. It's an arrow function that takes one parameter, num, and it returns whether num modulo 2 is equals to 0. That is, the remainder of dividing num by 2 is equals to 0. If you remember previous lessons, this is checking if a number is even. Because if number divided by 2 is 0, that means there's no leftover when you divide by 2, which means it's 0, which means it's even. If it's 1, it's odd. Now, here's the thing. Since this is a function, we can just call it console log func with parameter 1. Now, check it out. 1 then gets passed here. Is num modulo 2 0? No, because num modulo 2 is 1. What about 10? 10 is true because 10 is even. 11, false. 12, true. So now let's take a look at our exercise again. Create a function that looks through an array and returns the first element in it that passes a truth test. This means that given an element x, the truth test is passed if func x is true. Returns the first element in it that passes a truth test. The first one. Okay. Here's what I would propose. Loop through array. If func current num is true, return current num. After the loop, that is, if we haven't returned anything, return undefined. Yeah, looks good. Let's do it. So first we loop through the array. For, let's do a for of loop again. For let num in of r. If the func current num is true, if func num equals true, return num. Otherwise, we return on. Oh, I forgot the console log. So with 1, 2, 3, and 4, the first one to pass that test is 2. Run our tests. Looks good. Pat, pat. But we've got some thoughts here from Carlos. Since we're mapping an array and changing its items, it's better job for map. Now, we haven't done map yet, and there's a reason for that. That's because we're not really returning an array. Map usually gives us an array. We're actually just returning the first item that passes the test. So it's not an array we need. Yeah? It's a good question. It's a good point. SR says you don't need equals true. You're absolutely correct. If something is true, that is, if the function return is truthy. But there's more that we can delete from here. If you remember, returning undefined is the same as returning nothing. Right? But simplicity says let's use filter. Now, I'm actually going to avoid that. I'm sorry, simplicity. Do you know why? Because here, I'll show you why. Give me 1 sec. We're actually, not tomorrow, but next week, going to be doing functional programming where we'll learn stuff like map and filter. So if you see me skipping those, it's because I want to save them for next week. For now, let's do it this way, I would say. Still works. And your answer is absolutely correct for simplicity, but I want to save it for next week. So I'm sorry if I seem rude. Pat, pat. Let's keep going. Check if a value is classified as a Boolean primitive. Return true or false. Boolean primitives are true and false. What? Boohoo true should return true. Boohoo false should return true. Okay. Huh. I don't understand this. All right, let's give it a try. So boohoo true, for example, should return true. Okay. Console log. Yeah. Boohoo false should not return false. It should return true. So what if I say if it's triple equals to true, or where's my pipe? There we go. Bool is triple equals to false. Strict equality, right? Maybe that'll work. That gives us true. Boohoo 1, 2, 3 should return false. 1, 2, 3. False. Let's try this with this slice thingy. It also gives us false. Okay. Remember, we're using the 3 equals to be like, no, is this strictly equals to true and false? Let's run our tests. That works. But Akachuku has an interesting solution proposal. What if the type of the Boolean is Boolean? Yeah. Look at y'all having the right idea. Type of bool. Well, first of all, what is it? The type of console log type of bool. All right. True. There we go. It is Boolean with a lowercase b. So we do need to use type of bool equals Boolean. Let's try that. Yeah, cool. And that works too. Nice. Pat, pat. Good job, everybody. Yeah, as always, if you've got a couple bucks you can throw, but don't feel pressured to. This is open source. This is meant to be available freely for people. I do so on a different account, but we will. So for this one, we'll ask me later. Okay. Title casing a sentence. Return a provided string with the first letter of each word capitalized. Make sure the rest of the word is in lowercase. For the purpose of this exercise, you should also capitalize connecting words like the and of. Okay. So we got split sentence into words. For example, I'm a little teapot should return let me just put a comment there. I'm a little teapot. So the first letter of each word will need to be capitalized, and each other letters need to be lowercase-alized. Yeah. So first we'll split the sentence into words. Then we'll initialize empty string, empty result string, loop through words. Loop through words. Words. Initialize a variable with the first letter being the uppercase first letter of current word, and the rest of it being the rest of the word. No, I'm confusing myself. Let me start over. Grab first letter of current word and uppercase it. Grab remaining letters of current word and lowercase them. Add both together and push into, no, we can't push. Add result them to result string with a space. Cool. So split the sentence into words. So words equals you want to split? Oh, we did the split before. Yeah, with a space. Console log words. Little teapot. Fantastic. Initialize empty result string. Okay. Let result equals empty string. Loop through the words. Let word of words, the word of words. I forgot the last part here. Return result string. So grab the first letter of the current word and uppercase it. So const first letter equals word at 0 dot to uppercase. To upper case with a cap. Oopsie. There we go. Make sure that's right. First letter. I'm a little teapot. Fantastic. Grab the remaining letters of the current word and lowercase them. So that'll be a slice. Yeah. Remaining letters equals word dot slice. So starting from 1, let me just make sure that I'm getting this right. Console log remaining letters. It'll ought. That looks good, but we want to lowercase them. To lowercase. Shouldn't change much for I'm a little teapot. Add both together and add them to result string with a space. So result plus equals first letter, first a space. Oh. No, this isn't going to work. You'll see why in a second. Plus first letter plus last remaining. I'll log that. I'm a little teapot. It looks good, but looks can be deceiving. Let me run the tests. See, it's not working. Can anybody notice a problem? I think I realize what it is. Check it out. If you notice, the result comes from here. The problem comes from here. See, I'm adding an extra space at the beginning. Oh, no, wait. Yash is saying, what about the result? I didn't return the result. Thank you. See, I don't follow my own instructions. There we go. Here's the problem. Look. There's an extra space. So how do we do this? I have an idea. Instead of having an empty result string, let's have an array. Yeah. And we will push to result array. Yeah. So instead of this, we'll have result.push first letter plus remaining letters. Result.push is not a function. Oh, yeah, it is. There, see, I'm a little teapot. So then what I can do is return result conjoined into string. Join by a space. I'm a little teapot. Whew, that fixes it. Let's run our tests. Very good. Almost done. And I want to comment on something that people are saying, because people are saying like, yeah, Python's easy because it has a function for almost everything. So here's the thing. A lot of these exist in JavaScript as well. The purpose of this exercise is learning how to implement these things, just so we can get an idea of how they're done. So if you were doing a similar bootcamp for Python, you might find that we're going to be doing this sort of thing as well, just to sort of learn that algorithmic thinking. Let's submit and go to the next challenge. I'll do one more. Well, I know we're at the top of the hour and we'll do Q&A in just a second. Start asking questions, folks. But I want to do just one more. What have we got? Slice and splice. You're given two arrays and an index. Copy each element from the first array into the second array in order. Begin inserting elements at the second index n of the second array. Return the resulting array. Begin inserting. Okay, the input array should remain the same after the function runs. So take the first array and at index n, insert the second array. So 1, 2, 3. So calling Frankensplice with 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, we want to have as a result, let me console log real quick. 5 and 6, yeah, because it returns R2. But we want to have 1, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3. That's because we want to insert here at this position 4, 5, and 6. Okay. I mean, the easiest way to do that is, in my opinion, would be to splice in at position n, remove no items, and the items we want to splice in are the contents of R2. And we want to return R1. 1, 4, 5, 6, 2, 3. We start at position n, we remove no items, and we add in the items of R2. If we run our tests, however, we're getting some problems. Wait, what? Oh, is it the way around? Copy each element of the first array into the second array. My bad. See, 4, this should give us 4, 1, 2, 3, 5. My bad. 6. My bad. We want to do it the other way around. So at position 1 of the second array, we want to insert this. Sorry. So R2 splice in at position n, array 1. There we go. See? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. With at position 1, we insert array 1 into array 2. Let's run our test again. Now, here's the problem. The second array should remain the same after the function run. The problem is that by calling splice, I'm modifying the second array. So as simplicity says, we need to use const. Let's do that. Const let's call it rcopy equals R2. Copy.slice rcopy. Cool. Run our tests. The second array should remain the same after the function runs. So even though I'm assigning R2 to rcopy, if I console log R2, there we see 421. I see your question. We're going to get there in just a sec. Triple M is saying initialize a new array and copy the second array. Yep, let's do that. 2 ways to do it. One is to use the spread operator. Inside on array, inside on array, inside on array, inside on array. Oh my goodness, I can't type today. Now, the Moon concept digest is asking, what is the function of the 3 dots before R1? Here it is. It's called the spread operator. What it does is it takes out all of the elements of the array and plops them somewhere else. So there we go. It's taking all of the elements from array 2 and putting them in a new array. It's copying over the contents of the array. This we learned in ES6. So if you don't know what that is, let me just scroll up real quick. Go back to the ES6 module, and you'll find that, where is it? Spread operator to evaluate arrays in place. Go to this one, the Moon Concept Digest, and you'll find it out. So yeah, we've copied out all of array 2 and put that in there. Let's run our test. And that's passing. Pat. But I just want to take a second to explore that a little bit more. So we've made a copy of array 2, put it in array copy. Then we've spliced in array 1. Then we've well, we don't need this console log anymore. And then we return that R copy. Michael's asking, what does splice function with the 3 arguments do again? The first argument is where to start splicing in. The second argument is how many items to remove. And the third item is which items to insert. So what are we doing? We're starting at index n. We are removing 0 items. And the items that we are inserting is the contents of array 1. But people are suggesting other ways to do it. Array from something. Okay, so what? That's like array from .r2. What is array.from? Array.from creates a new shallow copied array instance from an iterable or array-like object. Array from. So what? If I do array from R2, that gives me a copy? Well, I'll be. That works. Carlos says, works fine with a shallow copy too. Let's do it. R2.slice. I do like slice. That looks good. Cool. Sandra's asking, why didn't it work when we were assigning R copy equals R2? Is that a deep copy? Yeah, it's called, exactly. It's a reference. So any changes we would make to R copy would also happen to R2, which is what we saw here. Check it out. If I console log R2 after splicing into R copy, check it out. R2 is still being modified. If I do R2.slice, however, R2 will not be modified. It's a good question. Thanks, Sandra. Let's run our tests. There we go. We're going to submit, pat, and stop here for today. So let's look at homework real quick. Before we go into Q&A, let's take a look at homework. So your homework will be to finish the basic algorithm scripting module. That means falsy bouncer, where do I belong, mutations, and chunky monkey will be the 4 ones that we do today. And tomorrow we will start with object-oriented programming. And on Wednesday, we will do the telephone number validator. So with all that said, let's hop into Q&A, and I get the feeling I'm going to have to stay here. Michael's saying, I think deep copy just refers to nested subarrays though, right? Do you know what? Because I probably am confused. Deep copy versus shallow copy JavaScript. FreeCodeCamp. Look at that. I'm just gonna plop that in here. Now let's have a look. Thank you very much, Lucas. What's a copy? Primitive data types. Where's objects versus arrays? Yep. Where is my object spread operator? Yeah, we know about the spread operator. Object assign. My goodness, I just want to have an example. Oh, MDN is better? Oh, look at Carlos. A deep copy of an object is a copy whose properties do not share the same references, point to the same underlying values as those of the source object from which the copy was made. That's helpful. Thank you. Let's take a look at that. There it is. See, I should have looked in MDN. Silly me. A deep copy. As a result, when you change either the source or the copy, you can be assured you're not causing the other object to change too. That is, you won't unintentionally be causing changes to the source or copy. That behavior contrasts with the behavior of a shallow copy, in which changes to either the source or the copy may cause the other object to change too. Okay, so I got it the other way around. Two, three. R2 is equals to R1. R1 dot splice 1 0 6. Console log R1. Console log R2. Okay. So we've made an array called R1 made up of 1, 2, and 3. We've made an we've made a variable R2 that is a shallow copy of R1. We've spliced in at position 1, removing 0 items, the number 6 into R1. Then I've console logged R1 and R2. Both of them are the same. This is because R2 is a shallow copy of R1, meaning they share, and CPU is talking, right? Shares the same addresses. You see, in a computer, data is stored in memory at certain addresses. They call them addresses as locations as to where the data is. So an array points to an part of an address where that data is stored. So that's the shallow copy, right? They point to the same place. But a deep copy makes a copy out of all of those and moves them over. So R1 dot splice, not splice, sorry, slice. I always make this mistake. There we go. R2 is now a deep copy of R1. 1, 6, 2, 3. And then for R1, because we spliced it, R2 is still 1, 2, 3. I have a question that I want to answer from simplicity. Wouldn't it be nice doing functional programming before basic algorithms? I actually disagree. That's because once we understand how that functional programming works, sorry, let me do that the other way around. By doing the basic algorithms, we start to get an idea of how those functional programming concepts would work. For example, how to do a filter, how to do a find the maximum, how to do a deeply iterative, like find the biggest number of an array kind of thing, the longest string. So if we do that, then we can get into more complex functional concepts. So no, I think it's better doing the basic algorithms first. Feel free to disagree with me. I mean, this is what's great. Like, everybody learns differently, so they say. As Carlos says, better to master the basics first and then back to those exercises. Gene says it really well. Think of value as a box. Shallow points to the same box. Deep copy creates a new box. It's a really good point. Thanks, Gene. Any other questions? What's the difference between a for in loop and a for of loop? Let's take a look. Let's do a for of loop first. For let num of R1 console log num. It's going to print out 1, then 2, then 3. That's the of loop. What about in? That gives us 0, 1, and 2. This is because for of loops are meant to be used for arrays, whereas for in loops are meant to iterate through the keys of an object. If you use a for in loop on an array, it'll iterate through the indexes. Let's try it with an object. Now it's iterating through the keys of the object, hello and world. What if I do for of on an object? I have no idea. Okay. Invalid attempt to iterate non-iterable instance. So for of arrays, for in objects. Use an object with numbers as keys. It's cool. Sure. In 1 and 2. Those are the two keys. Brian's asking, why do we have function-based and class-based programming? Why? Ooh, that's a good question. You caught me. These are two different thinking ways of interpreting programs, right? Function-based works well for doing things like passing functions as arguments, as we've seen. Class-based lets us have objects that iterate from one another and share properties, pardon me. You can combine these as you do in JavaScript. Tomorrow, we're going to take a different, so class-based and object-oriented are kind of the same, right? It's the same concept. And tomorrow, we're going to be diving into object-oriented programming and take a look at how we can leverage that. So why have it? Why have it? It's the why. Yeah. Gene's saying we use functional inside objects. Yeah. So we can use a combination of the two. Why have it? It's the why that's throwing me off. Being able to pass functions as values lets us have a dynamic nature of our code so that when we need to, like, say, do dynamic filtering of data, do dynamic adding up of data, reducing of data, mapping of data, we can just pass in an object to do so as opposed to having complex loops. I hope that's helpful. Yash is asking, what about string? That's a good point. STR. We're going to try a for in loop with the string. See what that gives us. It should really be member. If I can spell. So a for in loop gives us the indexes, like an array. But what if I do for of? And it gives us each letter. So it's kind of like an array. Strings are very similar to arrays. Hello world. It's a good one. Any other questions? When should I be clicking get help? Let's take a look at the get help. Get help gives us a couple of options here. You might sometimes see get a hint, ask for help, and there's also watch a video. Some of the exercises have videos associated to them. Let's get a hint. What that will do is show us some hints, which is helpful. You usually get 3 hints. And you also get solutions. I'm not going to click on those, but you can also get ready-made solutions. So what Alan is asking is, when should I be clicking? Give it a try. Give the exercise a try. If you can't make heads or tails of it, if you can't begin to comprehend what it is that they're asking, then maybe the hints will be helpful. Let me be very clear. If you find a solution and you're like, okay, this finally makes sense to me, I feel so bad that I had to look up a solution, don't feel too bad, because you can then read that solution, right? Go through it line by line and try and comprehend it. And then after that, try and rewrite it using your own terms. Change the variable names, change the function names, change the class names, tweak it so that it becomes more comprehensible to you. That's still a very vital part of learning. So never feel too bad if you're like reaching out for ready-made solutions. Hope that helps. Oh, okay. Carlos is saying, what about this? Can I copy paste that? Galbrush, can you maybe, do you have access to it, and maybe can you copy paste it to me? Because I'm lazy. I don't, it's a lot to type. Here, I'll give it a try. Oh, you have it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see what's going on here. Just split this up a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. Or let key in object console log key. An unexpected character. Give me a sec. I need to format this. There's a random space here that JavaScript is not liking, and I can't find it. In line 1. There we go. Okay. Thank you, Carlos. Alt-Shift-F to format the code. Good to know. So what's going on here? We are looping through each key and object and console logging the key. And what Carlos is saying is that, hey, hold on. We're starting with 1 and 2 and then 1 and 3. It's not the same order as here. And that is, as we've seen before, let me see, 4 in. Let me see if I can find 4 in. Iterates over all the enumerable string properties of an object in ordering properties keyed on symbols, including, let me see, where's that order? To find a consistent, all negative be traversed and first in ascending order by value. Let me be very clear. If you're iterating through the keys of an object, never ever depend on the order. In fact, we probably saw, let me see if I can find that. Basic algorithm scripting. Where was it? Is it basic data structures? I think we did that last week, right? Yeah, iterate through the keys of an object with a for in statement. Here. Objects do not maintain an ordering to stored keys like arrays do. Thus, a key's position in an object or the relative order in which it appears is irrelevant when referencing or accessing that key. As Carlos says, in JavaScript, it starts with numbers in order, then strings in order too. Objects are unordered. Carlos says, yes, but it's easy. Oh, I wasn't saying it wasn't easy to forget. Sorry, Carlos. On the contrary, I forget all the time. But yeah, so when you're looping through the keys of an object, don't depend on the order. It's a good rule of thumb. Whoopsie. There's a happy face from Gene that I clicked on by accident. Any other questions? All cool if not. Carlos says, no problem just saying it. No, you're absolutely right too. So let's take a look at homework again. Basic data structures, basic algorithm scripting. So homework for tomorrow is to finish basic algorithm scripting. And tomorrow we will start with object-oriented programming, which I'm quite excited about. Well, if there are no further questions, then I will say thank you all so much for joining. Remember, if you've got questions in after this, no stress, go to group.classcentral.com to go to the forum. There's also a Discord community that you can join. I highly recommend if people ask questions and you know the answer, answer them. It's like explaining stuff is such a good way to really bring our learning all the way home. So I highly recommend doing that. And then I'll say, well, thanks everybody for joining. Tomorrow we'll start with object-oriented programming. And remember, these lessons are recorded. There's no being late. There's no falling behind. You're learning at your own pace, and we're always here for you. Okay? Have a wonderful day, everybody, or evening, or afternoon, and take care, and see you tomorrow. Bye.